Now, our first session after lunch is how to inspire customers with women in tech initiatives. And to talk about this with us today are two people, Melanie Buck, Chief of Staff Europe for GoDaddy, and Yvonne Bernard, Head of Product Management at Hornetsecurity. Please welcome them.
So, hello everybody. It's so good to see all of you here. And Yvonne and we will talk a bit about women in tech today. I will start and then Yvonne will follow with her story. And I will tell you a bit about how women in tech came to my life, how it inspires me, and how it even inspires our company. My name is Melanie. I work for GoDaddy. GoDaddy is an internet service provider, and our vision is to make small and medium businesses successful online. But now let's come to our topic. So I'm the Chief of Staff for our head of EMEA, just by the way. And now let's start it. Let me tell you my story. So for me, it all started about 1.5 years ago. And 1.5 years ago, I received an email from our former head of EMEA. And this email said it was addressed to Gail from our US headquarters in the US. And I was copied, and the email said, yes, sure, Melanie is happy to launch GDVIT in EMEA. And I was like, okay. And I had some questions and some doubts, to be honest. It was, what exactly is women in tech about at GoDaddy? So do we really need this? I made my way at the company. Other women made her way as well. So do we really have such a big problem? And do I want to be a key driver for this topic at all? Or am I a feminist if I do so? And is this something bad or is this something good? So as you can see, I had a lot of questions in my mind going around. I was not sure how should I feel about it. But then I started to do first researches. And also talked to a lot of people, also to Gail, of course, the person who the email was addressed to, and also to many further persons, and had a look at some statistics, and then I realized, hey, it's a bigger topic than I thought. And then I said, yes, sure, why not? Let's just start it. But it was really just the beginning. And then 4 key members or core members from EMEA launched this at GoDaddy in EMEA. And at the beginning, it was new for all of us. Of course, we knew about this topic, and we knew the Girls' Day, which you have in Germany every day, every year, and things like this. But we were all right at the beginning. And then we talked about goals, strategy, where do we want to go? And quickly we realized, hey, it's not only the 4 of us. We can't do it alone, because GoDaddy in EMEA, we have so many different locations. So we are in Bulgaria, in Romania, in Spain, in UK, in Germany, in France, everywhere in Europe. And so we realized we need more members to really drive it. And here on this picture, you can see all of our site leaders in EMEA. So we reached out to everybody in EMEA and said, hey, who would like to drive this with us? Who would like to help us? And so many people came to us, also some men, and said, yeah, sure, I want to help, and I want to do it together with you. And that was really crazy and really cool. So that was a big learning to learn, hey, we need more people, and there are so many people who want to do it together with us. The next learning I had last year, and I think my team members as well, was it is not only about women, we also need men to drive this initiative. So that's why I like, we also have a logo which says women, and there's a man in big letters as well, because in the end it doesn't make sense to only have women in leading positions or only have women in the company. We need to have a diverse company and a diverse team, and so we need both of them. And we can just make a difference together. And that's why we involved more men in it. But even this year, in January, we had a networking session in Cologne as well. And even there, some colleagues, some male colleagues came to me and said, hey, Mel, that's only for you women, right? And I said, no, it's not. Please join us. Please come and talk to us. And let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. And that was a big learning for me as well, to really raise the awareness and to show it's for both, it's for everybody. Yeah, and then last year this was in Amsterdam, at a big conference in Amsterdam, and it was great to have everybody there to talk about strategy and what we are doing this year. And now, coming to my topic again, the customer. There was a big aha moment for me at the beginning of this year, when I met Susie. Susie is a GoDaddy customer. She came over from the US last year to Berlin, and she was a GoDaddy customer already. But when she came over, she wanted to build up a new company which is about self-defense. So she's providing self-defense courses for women, but she's also providing coaching, and she wants to strengthen the women and make them stronger. And so she searched for the right partner for her for this business. And then she also searched for GoDaddy again. And she had in mind the reputation we had some years ago and the old advertisers we had, which were not so women-friendly, and that's why she thought maybe it's not the right one anymore. But she searched again and saw what we are doing today for women in tech and what we are doing for diversity and how this changed so much. And that's where she said, hey, that's exactly my company, that's my partner. I want to go with this company and get successful online. And next week, I will meet her in London. We will have our first anniversary of GDBit in EMEA, so it's a big celebration. And she will even be there and talk to us how she was inspired and how she inspires us as well. And this brings me to how customers make the choice. In the past, it was more about quality, performance, pricing. But that changed a lot. Today, it's also about corporate social responsibility, environmental responsibility, but also about initiatives like Women in Tech. So I could see that it really makes a difference. It's not only for the internal employees that it makes a difference, it's also for our customers. And that really inspired me a lot, and I'm so happy about that. So my key learnings so far from this topic is really the first one, it's about diversity. So involve the men, involve the women, involve everybody to make a diverse, colorful environment and a diverse and colorful company. And with Women in Tech, you can make a difference. You can improve the company's reputation. And with this initiative, you can get so great employees and great customers. And these are so far my biggest learnings I made. And so already coming to the end, this is about making your world. And I want to have a world which is diverse, which is colorful. And at GoDaddy, I found this place. So I'm proud of being part of GoDaddy within EMEA. I'm proud of being part of GoDaddy because this company supports such initiatives. And it's so important that you find your company where you feel comfortable and where you can share your own values and where the values are the same. So that was my story. And now I will hand over to Yvonne, and she will tell her story.
Thank you, Melanie. So I'm kind of the counterpart to Melanie, coming from this big company. I want to talk about small and medium businesses, businesses with less than 1,000 employees, I would say. You're not able to do huge women in tech initiatives on your own, so you have to take a look at your culture and how you can implement something like that, initiatives or tools for diversity in your company as well. So first of all, a little bit about me. I started off as a computer scientist, went into research at the University of Hanover. I did a lot of research in the areas of open systems, trust and security. And there I got to know a little bit about gender mainstreaming. At the university, this means that in your research projects, you always have to implement something for women. Just women, nothing else. And it's called gender mainstreaming, so making it look like it were the same. But basically, this means that you have to take care how can you have a program which has some kind of reach and so on. So I helped a lot with that. And I also took part in leadership communication programs and learned a lot there. But then I went into the industry, joined Hornetsecurity 5 years ago, and I was actually the first female computer scientist in that company at that time. I was PA to the technical CEO and then became head of project management since. And this is my story, a little bit saying about why I am here today. This was 2 weeks ago. We had a fair at Hanover, the SecIT. And as you can see, me on stage, there were 2 stages in 2 days, so 30 to 40 talks, and I was the only woman in the program. At the same time, this is our booth. Yeah, it's a Bierwagen. So we kind of tried to do different things, doing the same things in a very different way, and we were, at the same time as I was the only woman on stage, we were 66% women, and we didn't plan that. We just made the photo and said, oh, there are more women than men. That's fancy. And so we seem to be something different. What we're actually doing is really basic security, hard stuff. So we're usually the one providing email security for businesses, starting off with spam filter servers, email archiving, encryption, doing things for Office 365 and advanced threat protection. So we're really deep down security. Usually in security you have less than 10% of women in your staff. So usually it's 10 to 20, I guess, in the IT industry. In security it's less. And I want to say what we're doing differently and how you can do something like that if you want to. So there are some points I would like to point out. First of all, hire and show women in leadership positions. This is why I'm here today. I want to show, yes, we're there. We're not so many yet, but if we don't show it, this won't change. So hire them, show them, and show that you're proud of them. The other thing is hire junior tech talent and develop them. And this doesn't only apply to women. It also applies to other parts of diversity. So I have one example over here. In the middle of the photo, this is my colleague Amy. She's a junior front-end developer. She applied. I really loved her resume, but she didn't have much experience. There was one company which wanted to hire her right away, and there was us who said, oh, you can do an internship of 2 weeks. We see how it goes, how well you get along with the team, because she was the only female in the team where she was supposed to become. And within 2 weeks, if you're happy and we're happy, then you can stay. So she had this one offer from a company saying, just join us, and our offer where we're saying, okay, we want you here, but we want to make sure that it's cool for both sides. And she decided to go with us. And after she went with us, I was asking her, why did you decide for us if there was another company selling you right away, taking you right away without any doubts? And she said, the thing was, in the application process, I was talking to you, so there was already a woman in the company I could relate to. So if you are hiring women, please make sure that there is a woman in the application process somewhere, preferably a tech person if you want to hire a tech person. And maybe if you look at her, she doesn't look as born and raised in Hanover as me. And she's really all the time asked, where you're from? And she always answered, Magdeburg. And you? And this "and you" is important because it shows that she feels treated differently from other people, because she's always asked, I'm not. And this "and you" is really fun, but also a very polite way of saying, don't treat me differently. And this is one of the key things I say, don't treat us differently, treat us just the same, but make some boundaries of what the interview process is going like, and offer flexibility, not just working time and location, but also flexibility in how to deal with persons in general. What we're very successful with is team-up events, both for staff and candidates. So especially women from what I've seen, always have second thoughts, is this right for me? Where men are sometimes more progressive in saying, I'm the best person for this task anyway, I do it. So we have these team-up events, like Eat the Word, going around, getting to know the city and eating funny stuff. The photo actually was from one of the team-up events, but we took off those people who were candidates and didn't want to be part of the photo because they are working with someone else, actually. So these kind of events where people can relate who usually don't work together every day, but also where new people get to know the company, get to know the people they are talking to, this is really important. I can only recommend that. What we do at Hornetsecurity is there's a type of personality test in every recruiting process. So no one gets hired if he hasn't passed the personality test, and we have very good experience with that. It's called the ABC test. It's derived from something Netflix has developed and also published. The thing here is, even if you're sure that the person is technically able to do what you want that person to do, please make sure that it will become a good part of the team, that it will be a positive person with the right communication and so on. This is sometimes really hard because if you know you need really need a person, you sometimes don't look at this type of social skills and all that, but it's important. If you want such teams to work, especially diverse teams, you really have to take care of that and not having someone bullying other types of people. So do that. Although it's a little time consuming, it will be worthwhile in the end. And of course, engage in Girls' Days, which we have in Germany, and other low-hanging fruits where you can show the next generation what women in tech can be like and how interesting tech can be in everyday's business. So this is the little ideas I had how to do women in tech without larger programs. We both would like to invite you to join us at the Diversity in Tech Mixer in the Castillo Alcazar Buena Vista bar today at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us, have a drink, have something to bite, and we can go on with the discussion then if you haven't asked your Q&A answers right now. So please join us and discuss with us. Thank you.
Now, I understand that our speakers wanted to invite some quick questions and answers from the audience. Does anybody like to ask anything of them today?
Thank you. One question. I run a very, very technical infrastructure team, and I was thinking about gaining more diversity in my team for a long time already now, but it's really, there are not so many female applicants for any roles that I advertise. So do you think it's, I mean, for sure it's a matter of hiring and having a conscious hiring approach, but do you think we are doing enough in the earlier stages, like in the university and the schools, or might that not be maybe an even bigger part of the problem?
Maybe I could try to answer that. The thing is, if you have no women in the team, it's hard to get the first one. If you have the first one, the others will flow, because the few applicants you have, if you invite them to get to know the team, then it's no problem at all. When we had the first developer or the first woman in tech, this was me, it was easier to get the others, but how to get the first one, this is really hard. So I joined the company at some event where I was invited to give a talk about my PhD thesis, and there I got to know the CEO, and he was the only one asking me other questions than the others. So usually in the interview process, you're always asked these technical skills questions and all that, and the CEO of Hornetsecurity was asking me, how do you judge cloud service as a business model? How do you think about this and that? And me as a technical person, I was really astounded that this type of question was asked to me. So you have to be different. It can be a Bierwagen, which really helps with students, to be honest. But you have to have some nice ideas to get the attention. Because whenever people apply in tech, they're pretty fast hired, and these few women we have, they're also hired very fast because they are so few. So you really have to find something that makes you different, that makes you stand out in the range of companies where they could work. And if you have the first one, the other ones will follow.
And maybe to add from my side, so what we are doing as well is the Girls' Day, for example. I think that helps. So I think you need to start very, very early and to show really the pupils already, hey, girls, you can do this as well. And so that's why we are doing the Girls' Day. I know it's still hard, but in addition, we also go to universities. I know this from our Romanian office, for example. They work very closely with the university together because there's a big university in the same city, and approach those students quite early to show them, hey, this could be a cool company for you, and maybe you just try it out. So you're right, I think we really need to start very early to raise awareness and to show the people you can do more. You can do also technical stuff. And I think we are not there yet. And this also still needs to change. So I hope in about, 10 or 20 years, it's even better than it is today.
What also helps is apprentices and bachelor's and master's theses, because they join you earlier and you have more of a selection if you start this early.
Wonderful. Does anyone else have a question?
In the last slide, there was a bullet point about low-bearing fruit. What is that low-bearing fruit exactly?
It's things that don't cost you much resources, but give you a lot of effect.
Yeah, I got it. But there was a point about I can't remember the exact text on the slide, but it was about special Go events or anything like that.
Exactly. So Girls' Day is an event where girls are invited on one day in the year to get to know your company and how tech is working. And things like that are things that don't have a lot of effort. You don't need much staff to do that. So you just need a small team to make a difference. And there are some similar things, like on the first day at the university, you can help them with sponsoring or something. You can organize hackathons or just give money to hackathons to show you are there without having large marketing budgets and large marketing projects. So always look for something where you can stand out in the crowd and appear as someone who's different, who's fresh and new and all that.
Indeed, low-bearing fruit. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right there, we have a question.
I have one question. You say women in tech, you need them, but why? What's it in for a company? Why would a company hire a woman? What's in it for them?
Yeah.
I mean, as a woman, I understand, but what's in it for them? That's my main question, actually.
Yeah. So I work in the tech industry for 16 years now, and I really like it. And so for me, I think it's interesting for the woman to work in such an environment because it's so much more you can just do, right?
I guess the question was more, what does the company have if they hire a woman instead of a man? So from my point of view, this is, if you have a woman in the team, the whole team interacts differently. Maybe there are some bad jokes too, but from my point of view, it's the same if you have the dog I had as a symbol of flexibility. You can also bring your dog to the office. It helps people concentrate on the tasks and not going into this kind of male who's the loudest thing. So if you have a woman in the team, although people don't notice it all the time, they interact differently. And I think that's important, both for the team and for the company as well, because you have someone who is a little different. And it's not just about women, it's also about whatever you have, religion, race. It takes the team to a different level if you have diversity in your team.
And maybe to add from my side as well, so for example, GoDaddy has a lot of female customers as well. And I think it's important to really bring in the female opinion of our products, for example, and of our services. And so it's good to have women and men in one team to see all the opinions and all the different choices and everything you can do. And so you even meet better the female requirements as well if you have both in your team. I think that's a very, very big advantage for a company.
Yeah, I understand and I agree, but what I feel like sometimes is that for some companies it's like a gimmick. Yeah, we have women in tech, woohoo. That's the point that I don't want to have. You want to have women in tech because they contribute and not because it's a gimmick for your company.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for GoDaddy at least, that's very important to really make a difference. And also in our product teams, in our development teams, we also have women. And it's not only because it's cool or everybody has it today, because we started many years ago with this initiative in the US already. So in EMEA, we just started a year ago. But in the US, we started many years ago. And so it's really to make a difference and not only to be cool and to be part of the scene or so.
Yeah, I can totally agree. So with Hornetsecurity, the thing was we didn't aim at having a lot of women. We just noticed suddenly that we were way above average for our industry. And I was thinking, why did that happen? Because I remember being the first computer scientist in the company, but no one noticed, not even me. After some months, I was like, oh, another woman applying, nice. Would be great to have some company, but I didn't notice that I was the only one in the first place. And I really liked that, because that shows that you're just a part of the team and not the women in the team.
Thank you. All right, does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask? Over here.
I'm lucky enough to have 1/3 of the team women. So the question I have, like clearly theoretical, would you have any advice for me? Let's say, how should I cooperate with them?
My advice would be don't treat them differently.
Right,
we don't want to be treated differently, we want it to be treated the same. So also make the bad jokes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Please. Thank you. Nice. Anyone else have a question they'd like to ask? Right here.
I was wondering, obviously this started in the US quite some time ago. Now you started a process in Europe.
Yeah.
How was your experience throughout Europe and how different that was? Is the countries more advanced than others? Can you enlighten us there?
Yeah, so there was a difference, there still is a difference. So for example, in the eastern part of Europe, we have Bulgaria and Romania, there we have offices. And there, for example, we have much more female developers and technical persons already than we, for example, have in Germany. So you can really see a difference in the different locations. And we try to solve this, of course, and to make those countries like Germany even better than the other countries where we are at the moment. And so, yeah, definitely I could see a difference, but it's so good now to have this community with all different countries to learn from each other and to make it better here. And also when I see in Romania, they're working with the university so closely. We are starting this as well, but we could do more. And so that's really the cool thing about having a European company and even with the US where you can learn from each other and grow together. But yes, there are still differences. And there were and are still differences.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
So could you derive something like best practices from that, which you can recommend to the other countries or companies? Because, I mean, it's kind of unexpected when you say that it works very well in Romania. I wouldn't have expected that, to be honest, right? I would have thought that the, France or Netherlands, whatever, that this is much more advanced in that regard. I haven't researched that. I've never really looked at the figures. So it's kind of unexpected. And the question why that is, if you say cooperation with universities and things like that, it's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
So that's really...
I guess it starts earlier. I guess in the eastern parts of Europe there are already more women studying computer science
Yeah.
than in Germany, for instance.
Yeah.
So this is kind of more into the society to be a computer scientist as a woman. And I guess it starts with the mindset at home. Do I play with dolls or do I play with Legos? And this is, I guess, something that in the eastern parts of Europe, you have a lot of more math education being focused already in school. And this leads to more computer scientists, no matter what gender or whatever.
And there the advice is again, start early. I think that's the most important advice. So when you have children, also tell the girls, hey, you can do everything. You can also play with Lego or whatever. You don't have to only play with puppies or whatever. So it's really about starting early and telling them you can be everything what you want. And they are a bit better in this and starting early already.
Very good. Does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask?
I don't want to monopolize it, but that wasn't it.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I'm not there anymore.
Yes,
I have
the
to leave. I'm
networking,
sorry. No, I was just wondering again because it's kind of like counterintuitive if you look at the equality or the equality studies. What was reached, which was just released by the UN about a month ago or something like that, where the legal environments, the environments and work environments and whatever, where's equality reached, or where is the at least from a legal and theoretical standpoint, which is obviously not the same as reaching it in the workplace. So I'm really curious that and that even goes for the US. And in the US, if you look at that report, the US isn't really very good in that. I think it was something like 70%, and the top countries are France or something like that, and Scandinavian countries and things like that. So, but that's not reflected in what I see actually in the workplace. And if you look, at least in the IT industry, then that differentiate. There's a huge difference in what the society and so has reached in equality and what you reach in women in tech. So tech is obviously different from the rest of society. So, any thoughts on that?
Okay, that's it. All right.
That's it, okay. So of course in tech it's more critical, so you have other areas of business where it's the complete opposite, right? So you have kindergartens and everything, there you have more women than you have men. Of course in tech it's still not as diverse as it could be, should be. And so there's a big difference between the different business areas, and that's, I think, why we have women in tech. And so for other companies, you would need maybe men in tech, where you only have women or more women. But it's a big difference, and it depends on where you are and which business you really are.
All right, did somebody over here have a quick question? Anyone else? Survey says, last chance.
At the networking event, we have another chance. So
Yes.
Perfect, yes.
5
So that's
p.m. join us.
there.
5 p.m. where?
5 p.m. Alcazar.
Castillo Alcazar
Perfect.
bar.
Perfect.
Join us at
Castillo
the bar.
Alcazar
Bar, that was it.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank
Let's
you.
give them a welcome.
Thank you very much.
much.